We'll
like really
eventually figure it
focus.
out. It'll be
Yeah,
fine. It's gonna be fine. That's what's great about our podcast is we
yeah,
just figure it out as
yeah.
we go.
It's all figure outable, as they say.
Indeed. Indeed. So
We're here.
we're here. And what do
It's
I
happening.
guess it's yes, yes. And for our listeners, it was Casey's birthday this week.
It
So
was.
and I know that everyone was well aware that we
Hmm.
circled the moon a few weeks back. Well, not Casey and I, but astronauts, people
We
that are
kind of
much
all
more
did
qualified.
vicariously.
Yeah, vicariously we did live through them. But tell our viewers and listeners, what did you do
Yeah.
for your birthday?
Well, so even before Artemis launched, which was April 1st, I believe, um, I had said I wanted to go to Kennedy Space Center. We had not been, so we're about an hour from the Kennedy on the east coast of Florida. And we had not been in almost probably 7 years. So the last time we got annual passes there, we got them, I think, the week or two before we brought Kenobi home unexpectedly. Because we were looking, we had a whole plan in place. We had I was looking for litters later that year after what would have should have been our honeymoon to Ireland, which is still on the docket. Um, and wound up finding a Kenobi's litter like 45 minutes from us on the Space Coast, actually in Merritt Island. So the irony of all ironies. And it was right after I had done a NASA used to do these. They still kind of do them, but they're post-pandemic. They're much more. You don't see them as much, but they were called NASA social events where they bring in like a bunch of influencers and companies and locals and people just interested in science and space exploration and things like that. And so I had the opportunity to go to one of the launches, and like a week and a half later, not even, I think a week later, Nobi was here. So our annual passes kind of got not a lot of use that year because when you have a tiny creature in your home,
Yes.
you can't just like leave them. So I think we went one more time, which kind of covers the beauty of annual passes for those who don't know them. You go a couple times and you basically cover your cost. So,
Yep. Yep.
um, so now 7+ years later, um, I had said I wanted to go out there. We thought about just going out for the day, and then the more we looked into the prices and everything, we said, you know what, let's get the APs again. So we did that yesterday. So we became Kennedy Space Center annual pass holders.
I love
Um,
it.
and we're looking forward to a year of, there's a lot of like really cool restaurants and bars and stuff out that way that do like launch specials. I found one that's like a rooftop bar, so we're super excited about like going out for
Oh,
a
fun.
launch at this hotel. Like maybe we're kind of hoping for like an evening launch the night before, and then the
Hmm.
next day we can go to the Kennedy Space Center. Um, and even in the past few years, Kennedy's had a lot of improvements and like new shows. And their most recent one is actually the Fraggle Rock. We met her just
Yes.
yesterday. This is an OG Casey. I've had it for a few years. But they just started, I think, earlier this year. And when they first announced it, I was like, oh, that's kind of an interesting pairing that I would not put together. My brain didn't click, but if you know the
Yeah.
Fraggles, you know they call our world outer space. And so
Mm.
the story that they then tell when Fraggles come to outer space and experience us
Yes.
here on Earth, talking about actual outer space. Such a good show. So like even Sean, like we went into it, and of course I don't know if you get this way when you're like a super nostalgic kind of thing. It's like I was like trying not to be like overwhelmed and like
Yep.
emotional that like it seems
Hmm.
so silly, but I think millennials know. Like there's just like a little bit of our brain that like the nostalgia is
Yes.
a little emotional pinpoint. So here we are sitting with a bunch of families and kids, and I'm my sister, when I sent her the photo, she was like, all those kids are probably like, what the heck is Fraggle? Because it is a very like small subset of
Yep.
people who even acknowledge and know that the like Fraggles are Muppets.
Hmm.
Speaking of a Fraggle, come up here. We have bad
He
weather
makes an
in the area,
appearance.
and
Yes.
this is the other birthday girl. But yeah, there's really bad weather in the area, so she's
Oh,
our. As you can see, she's a little panic stricken here, even though she's
yeah,
medicated.
that's
Um,
okay. She can join us
yeah,
today.
she's
That's all
like,
right.
let me keep. Well,
Oh,
she's gonna. We're gonna just bounce between the two.
mm,
But anyway, so they start with like the Fraggle theme song, and so
mm-hmm.
like everyone's clapping and everything, and was just sitting there like, okay. But we, but we left. So Sean is 4 years younger, so he missed that window of Fraggle.
Ah, that
But we left.
explains it. Okay.
Yes, we left. I'm fascinated by these like little pockets. Like so for Pokemon, like Pokemon, I missed that. I
Yep.
don't know if you were ever
Same.
into Pokemon. Like I just, people are
No.
like, you know Pokemon. I was like, I know Pikachu, and I
Yeah.
know you have to collect them all. So I believe there are more than just Pikachu.
Oh, it's like a
Um,
whole,
and
it's a whole,
it's
yeah. Yeah. My
it's a
son is
whole thing.
totally into it. So,
Yeah, which I
yeah.
love that also it then like comes back around,
Oh,
right?
100%. Yes.
I'm waiting. Have Pogs come back around? Or Pogs a
I
thing?
know. I was just gonna say, I'm like, I remember Pogs.
Pogs were. I don't think we have any of our original, which is really, really
Yeah.
just sad.
Yeah.
But I would be all about Pogs coming back.
Oh
If
my
someone could, I don't know
gosh.
if we could make that happen. I'm sure they're
So
like on
much
eBay.
nostalgia.
Um,
Just
so
incredible.
yeah, I love all that kind of stuff. So, uh, yeah, and like part of the show was like that kind of 80's stage show. Like when you'd go to the mall, you'd see like the Care
Mm-hmm.
Bears or whatever. It
Oh
had that
yeah.
kind of feeling. But they did a really good job of also intertwining like technology and like little very brief bits of here's how we move a shuttle, and like
Oh,
talking
that's so
about the
nice.
crawler and stuff. So really, really good for like kids, but also like fun for adults to watch. And we left and Sean's like, you know what? It was a really good show. Like I'm kind of surprised, and I too was not in, I just thought it would be fun to see the Fraggles in the show,
Right.
right? Like, but I
Yeah.
was like, actually, they did a really good job with it. So we did that,
Wow.
and we did the there's a whole exhibit. I don't know, it's kind of like a museum. It's not really a theme
Yep.
park per se. It's a lot of things you get to experience and like, science kind of,
Mm-hmm.
more, I guess, akin to science museum. Um, but beefed up because it's NASA.
Right.
But there's a whole
Right.
exhibit on the history of like the space shuttle era, and Atlantis is in there, and so you get to see it. And there's like this
Mm-hmm.
whole, again, like I don't remember 7 years ago when we watched this. I was like, did they change it? Because I don't feel like I remember having such a powerful like emotional response
Right.
to the whole kind of setup, which of course they have to speed up to keep it entertaining and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but the way they like revealed it, like I just everything. I was just like,
Yeah.
just don't cry in public at the Space Museum. But they do a really good job of like making me really proud of what we've accomplished and what we've
Yeah.
accomplished together, and like why space exploration is so important and science is so important. There's also I took a few photos of these. Um, they're little space geek facts, but then they also
Mm-hmm.
have ones that are called spin-off facts that show you like things that they did in space and how it translated to maybe certain medicines that we use here on Earth or
Oh,
certain
see,
sort of
I
things.
love that stuff.
So yeah, like
Yes.
we took our time because we were reading off, like, oh, this is an interesting one, and oh, I'm going to use that one. So
Yep.
like we were kind of going with that. So we just did those two things yesterday. There's a lot more to see and do there, but of course we have the 80's we get to go back. Um, but highly recommend if anyone is ever in the area. I've told you the next time your family comes to
Yep.
the area, we're going to prioritize actually Kennedy
Yep.
over the theme
Yes.
parks, because you also have theme parks on the West Coast. But
Yep.
um, yeah, you don't have the Kennedy Space Center. I think the Space Centers all have something that you can go and see and do, but um,
Yeah.
this one's pretty special, I think.
I
So
was gonna say, I feel like that one is like ground zero for all of the just incredible minds and just everything coming
hmm
together.
hmm
And it's that iconic,
yeah,
backdrop of
yeah.
the Space Center and the rocket and
I'm
just
gonna
the
say
whole
most
thing.
of the
So
launches I think have. I mean, I don't know if all of them. I assume all of the shuttle launches happen from Kennedy. they would come in, I think, then
No.
in California and Houston, I think.
Hmm.
And they do tell you kind of the story of how, like, because that whole program was reusable, like they're like, okay, well, if it lands elsewhere, how do we get it back
Right.
to Florida? Because it's just a
Yes.
glider. It's not, it's like once it separates from the fuel tanks, it's just a glider.
Yeah.
Um, and so if someone throws out the like, well, why don't we buy it a plane ticket? And that's how they wind up with, you know, again, iconic imagery from like sort of our childhood of the shuttle flying home on top of a massive
Yes.
airplane, you know.
Yes.
So a lot of like things like, so again, kind of like a nostalgia play. It's kind of interesting that like you think about in our parents' generations, um, and going to the moon for the first time with the first Apollo programs. Now we have the
Yep.
Artemis program, and just the intertwining of all that sort of wonderment, I guess, that we
Oh,
all,
100%.
you know.
It is wonderment. It is joy. It is innovation. It's
Mhm.
imagination coming to
I think it's
life.
still just like amazing that we're even capable of,
I know.
and
Yeah.
like so many, I think it's one of those sort of like classic cases of I think people see a thing be successful, even mildly successful, um, and think it was like an overnight success, but like
Right.
how many failures had to go into
Yes.
finding the right kind of materials and things that would stand the, like, I mean there were so many things I read
Exactly.
yesterday that I'm like, how does my brain just doesn't even work
Yeah.
that way, that you were like, this shouldn't theoretically work. It's like the
Right.
saying with like the bumblebee, like, or airplanes, how like they have to take off against the wind and you don't, like it theoretically should not work, but it does,
Right.
you know.
Yes.
So I think things like that are fascinating. And I do have a couple of friends that are out of the Johnson Space Center. I do want to get out that way. I was supposed to go see that years ago, back when I was in Houston for a work trip, and it just didn't line up with my schedule, and that was like a major regret for me. It's like, work
Well,
getting in the way of me going to space.
I mean, as what is that famous actor, the singer, always tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, you can always try another weekend
Yes,
and or we can wait until my whole family comes down and we can make a
there you
whole
go.
space
It's
adventure
space
out of the
adventure.
entire thing.
If you'd like to
And
sponsor a trip for us to go to space.
exactly. This
So I have to, that kind
podcast
of
is
ties
brought to
into,
you.
we're doing a family road trip to New Jersey in September. So huge family reunion on my dad's side. Cousins and aunt coming out from California. Our family basically back in the day immigrated to New Jersey, and so a bunch of us were up there. Now we're all kind of dispersed and a little bit
Yeah.
everywhere. Um, so we're all going back up for the 9/11 Memorial Yankees Mets series that weekend of September 11th. My dad's a retired Port Authority cop, lost friends in 9/11, so uh, he does not fly. He's not flown for as long as I can remember. I
Mhm.
think I can count on my hands how many times that man has been on an airplane. And so I'm in charge of getting us there.
Mhm.
So it was like, is it going to be a train? Is it going to be like a van of some kind?
Right.
So I'm, as of this weekend, started putting together a package of trying to get, because I'm gonna be videoing this and documenting it, and like the whole family coming together, and again, huge, emotional moment for
Oh
everyone.
yeah.
Um, and so I'm putting, it's like the first time I've done this, like in all my years of like content creation. I was like, wait a minute,
Mhm.
this is probably something people would enjoy seeing. It's like we've always joked that my
Yes.
family's like the Osbournes back in the day.
Yeah.
We could do that. And so this is like, yeah, I'm gonna put together a little package and see. But it's like the running joke of like, oh, I wonder if that van company will sponsor us.
Oh, I mean, a lot of people are looking for some really interesting, unique stories. I just
Mm-hmm.
saw, for Mother's Day, Alaska Airlines, there was a mother and daughter who actually are flight attendants together.
Oh,
And so
fun.
anytime they get to jump on the same
Mm-hmm.
like flight together,
Yeah.
obviously they just
Oh, that's
love it and
cool.
enjoy it. But for their more frequent flyers, the people that are more familiar, like those people
Hmm.
that have the flight once a week or whatever,
Yeah.
um, they'll see the mom and they'll say, "Oh, your daughter was, on my flight last week." And, it was just such a great story because, again, it took you back to the humanity that's
Hmm.
really behind the business.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of Alaska Airlines. I think that
Yeah.
ever since they purchased Hawaiian Airlines, and then they
Hmm.
also bought Virgin America quite a few years
Oh, I
ago.
don't know if I knew that.
And
Hmm.
it's just been an incredible partnership. And they
Hmm.
were always great before, but I feel like even more,
Yeah.
we just really have focused a lot on their customer and
Yeah.
like what it means to really be an
I have
Alaskan mom.
another good friend,
Yeah.
and her name is Tosh. She's out of Seattle. I'll link her links below too. She's done a couple partnerships with them. And so I've learned a good bit about their. I've kind of always followed them. I had another friend years ago who used to work for them, and they caught my eye probably, I don't know, 10 plus years ago because of that.
Hmm.
Because we don't have a ton of Alaska Airlines out here on the East Coast. I mean,
Yeah.
they'll go, West Coast, East Coast kind of thing, but you don't see them as much as you see the other ones.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
but I've loved following them ever since because I think they do really great work. They have a really strong brand, a really good
Yep.
storytelling presence.
Yes.
And that's kind of, we're probably going to run out of time because we've done like nostalgia
I know it.
tour here. But it does go into a little bit of like how we're thinking about our AI conversations too.
Hmm.
Um, but I think between you and I, and obviously a lot of our contacts and friends and colleagues, we have a lot of this experience with like the brand narratives and the storytelling. And
Yep.
for me, I was an employer brand for a long time. Um, and just that how important it is to have your people telling stories, like
Yes.
whether that's about the company, about the products, about what they're experiencing. Like that is such a little, you know, I don't know why people or companies really would do without that. Um,
Yeah.
so, and for me, like with the AI, like stripping it of that is
Yeah.
it's really unfortunate because it's
Yep.
such a that's why people buy things. It's the same thing with like the
Hmm.
review cycle when you're booking a trip and you're looking at the hotels and you're looking at the reviews and stuff like that. You go to your
Yeah.
friends and like, you've been here. Where should I
Hmm.
go? What should I do? What should I steer clear of?
Yep.
And you kind of know who gives you good advice and who is kind of just you always have those people on the internet who are looking for
100%.
the handouts or whatever, complain just to, make
Hmm.
misery a thing. But
Hmm.
um I mean, previous to tech, my background was all in hospitality. So we're big on that where it's like, you know, well, you can do a lot more with honey than you can with being a jerk out there.
Yep. Yep. It
It's
is. Well, and even for me with being internal comms, like if
mm-hmm.
your people aren't your biggest cheerleaders and
Yeah.
your biggest, amplifiers of your message, then what in the world, right? Like
What are you doing?
you've already lost.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I mean, because it's built in. I mean, for me, it's storytelling. It's the people part of it.
mhm.
But um, in terms of business, it is built in marketing and advertising. Like
Yes.
why
Yes.
would you completely blow that off?
Yep.
And I think too, even in terms of sales, um, probably going into a stereotype here, but you do have that stereotypical sales approach, and there's a hard sell and a soft sell kind of thing. Um,
Hmm.
for me, it's always going to, again, the storytelling, like connect with me. I want to know
Yes.
that I'm very
Yes.
much, I mean, even in terms of like the cars, things like that. I don't want just an ordinary. I want something that feels different. Like I was a longtime
Yeah.
mini driver before it just became like I can't put as many dogs as I want in this car. And I married someone who's 6'4". I mean, it was like we're really trying to pack a lot in that car. Even the
But
bigger one, I don't think we'd all fit. But
yeah, no, but there really is something to how you get to experience everything from how you come the entry, right? Like if you're on the hiring, side of things, like how do people experience your hiring process to then
Yep.
how do you onboard and then how do you actually experience the company from the time that you start until the time that you leave? What does your exit look like? Like there's so much to be said about the entire employee journey,
Yep.
and I feel like there's been a lot of, missed opportunity in my professional opinion. Um, when you even look at like how people exit companies
Hmm.
and what that looks like.
Yep.
I know we're both in tech. We've been in tech. We're very familiar with like all of the layoffs and things like that, but
Hmm.
how people are let go during transformations and transitions and all of that, it really speaks a lot to how people feel valued and also the people that are existing and still there,
Yep.
how they go through that emotion of watching people leave or be let go.
Hmm.
Like
It
that's
affects
that
everyone.
starts
Yep.
100%. And
It's
it's
not
just
it's not just the people who are obviously impacted directly and
exactly.
losing their job, but also I mean I my last layoff I had to walk my team through that, and
Yeah.
um, that was one of the preparation things. It was sort of like once you kind of felt the writing on the wall a little bit, it
Yes.
was okay. Everyone to your it's the life.
Yeah.
Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna work on our resumes, our LinkedIn's. We're gonna do as much as we can to
Yeah.
um, you know prepare because we don't know who's going to be impacted. And I did have a background in some of those recruiting, resume sort of building skills. So trying to get them up to speed with some of that. Um,
Hmm.
and and then kind of part two was, and then there's going to be some of you that are left behind here, and you're going to have a
Yeah.
decision to make. Um, what does that look like for you? It's not going to be the same because you're going to be doing more with less. And just the realities, you're going to have to shift the work. You're going to have to reprioritize what actually can get done,
Yes.
what needs to get done, what there's money for, if there's money for anything, and then what that feels like for you. Because it is not going to feel like the same as it does today, as it did 6 months ago. And just trying to like sort of emotionally, mentally prepare that phase of it.
Yeah.
Um, because there is a bit of a split, Um, LinkedIn reviews, another thing that I was like, make sure you're hitting those and reaching
Hmm.
out to people who you um, might have had a bigger project with, or just definitely want that kind of review, for.
Yeah,
I try and
exactly.
do that, every time a job shifts or something like that, try and get that out there. But there was a window where it's like, oh, I haven't done this in a while. I should probably like reach out to some people I've worked with and like
Right.
get those going
Yes.
again. So there's a lot of, yeah, it does really impact everyone. And just how could it not, you
Uh,
know? And
well,
to
we're
act like it
human.
doesn't, it's also,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. We're humans, and I think that sometimes the people that are crunching the numbers just forget that element, and I think, I've done a lot of what do you call them? Like different trainings and leadership styles and how people
hmm
think and like the psychology behind people. And one of the things is people kind of sit in a couple of different like wings of a house. It's kind of like either they're people oriented, they're more analytic numbers driven, or they're more like the doer and the very action oriented execution kind of house. So people sit in these little areas of your house, and sometimes if you have people that are just the analytics, the numbers that don't have much of that human element, there's that miss, right?
yeah,
And that's why it's also so important to have like your C-suite, a really good combination of people who are all from different sides of the house, but also be able to recognize that I sit in this side of the house and you sit over there. Help me understand, and
yeah,
have that real active listening skill to be able to make those decisions. And I get that sometimes the business has to do it because the numbers
sure,
don't add
yeah.
up.
It's just, yeah,
And
it's a numbers thing. It is, yeah.
and that's when I would actually coach leaders of like, well, just be transparent, like as much
Hmm.
as you possibly can. Like, let them know it's the numbers. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people talk about why return to office is such a thing. And I'm like, well, think about it. Some of these big organizations that have buildings in cities,
Yep.
guaranteed they've made agreements with the city to say, hey, we're going to be bringing in a building, or, we're going to be populating a building with
Hmm.
thousands of employees. Give us a tax break because we're going to be
Yep.
bringing this amount of business. And then when the pandemic hit, they lost all that business. They lost those things. Well, eventually that comes due, right? Is the
Yep.
cities sit down and say, hey, where are your people? Like the last time we
Hmm.
were talking taxes and
Yeah.
payments and all these things, like we're not seeing the return
Yeah.
on our investment into you. So I
Hmm.
totally understand why people get a little they sit on that side of the house where they're like, the
Yep.
numbers don't make sense. Then just tell the people that. Like
Yep. Yep.
people are they will deal with the reality of what is true way
And I
faster
think they
than
know it
trying
for the most
to.
part, right?
And
It's
they
not, I mean,
do. Exactly. Like
it's
it's
when you try and
lipstick
come
on
up
a
with a
pig.
story that's uh,
Yep.
obviously doesn't line up. You're like, come on,
Yep.
like just say
People
the
people
thing.
will always see the
Yeah.
lipstick on the
Don't
pig.
act
Like
like
at
I
the
don't
end of the
have the
day,
internet for the past
yeah.
30 years of my life. Like, you
Exactly.
know,
Yes. So it's like just be honest with your people. And that's the thing is I think people are going to see through that. And then and that is really where you get the long-term reviews of whether or not people want to return to your company and be a
hmm.
boomerang,
Yep.
or if they never want to return
Hmm.
until maybe there's a turnover in all leadership.
Yep.
Because that's the other thing that I think, as studying culture and what that looks like when culture change has to happen in an organization, it really does start at the top. The fish rots from
Yep.
the head. So, if your leadership is not changing, um, more than likely, whatever culture exists is going to be in those pockets. You're going to have the
It's
good
ingrained. Yep.
that has the amazing team, and then they're having this unique experience that nobody else is having.
Yep.
um but that also weighs on those managers. So it's like, how
Yep.
long does that manager stay around, and how successful are they able to be in that? So
Hmm.
yeah, it's kind of, I mean, just in general, I think when we start to realize that at the end of the day, we are all human. And humanity, right? The human element doesn't
Hmm.
quite fit well with capitalism.
Yep.
So, when you think about those experiences and how people are going to walk through that, it's a crucial piece. So,
Yeah.
but I know we are actually almost at time, and we didn't even get to the topic that we were
I
planning and
know. I know.
anticipating.
But I do think this
But
this is kind of it's sort of an intro to that,
100,
because
yes.
I
I
think
was just
all
gonna
this
say this is a
conversation like
good.
tees that up, which we did not plan for, but good on us
No.
because we're
Yes,
so good at this.
yes,
But
yes.
yeah, I think this tees that up super nicely.
Yep,
Because I
yep.
also think like what we were just talking about, it's a lot like when you have a friend who works in a restaurant and they eat at the restaurant. That's the
Hmm.
way I look at like employee employer relationships. And like, you always know
Yes.
when one of your friends works at either a crappy company or has a crappy boss.
Yep,
Like, you know it. Like, you
yep.
hear about it, you know? And you go, I don't think I'd want to work there. I could not do that, you know?
Yes.
Um, and I think that all also ties into what we're seeing with AI and the push for it, but then also the narratives that are coming out of it, how people are feeling about it, who's adopting it, who's not,
Yeah.
and the massive valid reasons for that. Um, and really, I think I think we both have opinions on sort of where we should be headed with that, and
Yeah.
how we both have used it to navigate the past couple of years of our career. So that for sure will be next week.
Yes. Yes. Well,
We're staking it now.
exactly. Well, in the tie-ins again to like previous podcasts we have done with like the unemployment and how to
Mhm.
navigate that space and what that looks like that all feeds in to like the
Absolutely.
precursor to this. So I feel like eventually one day we're going to have a nice little wrap-up blog where
Hmm.
it's like, here's the story of all the things, because again, we are naturally storytellers.
Yes.
And even though we don't know that we're tying these things together, then we're like, oh, we had that. We knew
Yeah.
that we were doing the thing, but we didn't quite know it yet. So,
We kind of
um,
know that what's in the box, but yeah, we're
yes,
not laying it out completely. Because we are
exactly.
the surprise element is part of the fun. It's part of the journey
Yes,
here. So,
yes, I love it. All right, well,
come for Fraggles and
yes.
learn about outer space and outer space and next week AI.
Exactly. And all of the humanity wrapped up in a beautiful
Yes.
bow of what just space and science and all of that has to bring to us. So,
Mhm.
all right. Well, that's it for today. And we swear that next week we will have the topic that we are going to talk about, and we're going to
It's
dive
gonna
right in
happen.
head first. It's going to happen.
Yes.
And we're not even going to talk about how our weeks were. We're just going to dive into
No,
the topic.
no.
So,
Forget
all
whatever
right.
happens between now and
Yeah. Exactly. All right. Well, have a good day,
then. Alrighty.
everybody. And